Commander Zixthar settled into the interview chamber, his chitinous plates clicking softly against the metal chair. The retired Velkan warrior had served in 7 galactic campaigns across 4 decades, yet his compound eyes carried a weight that spoke of burdens far heavier than mere years. The young journalist across from him, a eager Centauri female named Lissa, adjusted her recording device. "Commander, thank you for agreeing to this interview. Your service record is extensive." "Extensive," Zixthar repeated, mandibles twitching in what might have been a smile. "Yes, I suppose that's one word for it. You've faced the Krell Horde, survived the siege of Proxima, even earned decorations in the Andromeda incursion. But according to records, you requested immediate retirement after a single engagement with human forces. Can you tell us why?" The commander's secondary arms folded across his thorax, a defensive gesture. For a long moment he said nothing. Then slowly he began. "The Galactic Council made a grave miscalculation when they assumed humanity would be like any other species. We had studied their transmissions, analyzed their primitive weapons, observed their fractured political systems. They had barely achieved faster-than-light travel. They had no unified government. Their ships were slow, their weapons crude. On paper, they should have surrendered within a solar week." Zixthar's claws scraped against the armrest. "I commanded a heavy cruiser in the expeditionary fleet. We were tasked with securing the outer colonies, minor settlements on 3 moons orbiting a gas giant they called Jupiter. Intelligence suggested minimal resistance, a few hundred settlers at most. What happened? We broadcasted standard surrender terms as we entered orbit around the moon called Ganymede. We expected negotiations, perhaps token resistance before capitulation. That's how it works with civilized species." His voice dropped.
"Humans are not civilized."
"Not in war." The journalist leaned forward, her bioluminescent skin patterns shifting with interest. "They didn't respond to our hails," Zixthar continued. "Instead, they detonated mining charges throughout the colony's ice tunnels. 3 of our landing craft were caught in the cave-ins. Then the shooting started. They used magnetic accelerators, crude ballistic weapons, even improvised explosives. But it wasn't their weapons that disturbed me. What was it? Their eyes." The commander's voice cracked slightly. "I've fought species that feel no pain, creatures that reproduce by consuming their enemies, hive minds that value individual lives at nothing. But I'd never seen anything like the look in a human's eyes during combat. They don't just fight, they transcend." Zixthar stood, his legs unsteady, and moved to the window overlooking the Velkan capital. "We cornered a group of them in a habitat module. 15 humans, including their young. By galactic convention, they should have surrendered. Instead, their leader, a female no larger than a Velkan juvenile, looked directly at me through the viewport and smiled. She smiled. Then she opened the emergency airlock. The commander's reflection in the window showed all 4 eyes closed. They chose death over capture. All of them, including 6 children." Lisa's patterns flickered with shock. That's incomprehensible." "That's humanity," Zixthar said bitterly. "We thought we were fighting soldiers. We were fighting a species that doesn't distinguish between soldier and civilian when survival is at stake. Every human is a potential combatant. Every human is willing to die, terribly and painfully if it means taking you with them." He turned back to face her. "The battle for Ganymede lasted 16 days. We had superior numbers, superior technology, orbital supremacy. We lost 47 ships and over 8,000 soldiers. The humans lost everything. Their colony was reduced to rubble. Not a single human survived. Then you won." Zixthar's laugh was harsh and bitter. "Won? We limped away from a moon full of ghosts, having learned a terrible lesson. Every human we killed took an average of 5 of our soldiers with them. Some took more. One human, injured and bleeding, survived for 3 days in a damaged section of our flagship. She killed 17 crew members before we finally stopped her. She was a botanist." The journalist's recording device trembled slightly in her grip. "A botanist?" "They're all soldiers," the commander whispered. "That's what we failed to understand. Humanity evolved on a death world, competing against predators that could tear them apart. Diseases that culled their populations, even competing against themselves in constant warfare. For them, conflict isn't abnormal. It's the default state of existence." He moved back to his chair, suddenly looking far older than his years. "After Ganymede, we received intelligence about Earth's history. Do you know what humans do to their own kind during war? The atrocities they commit against each other? For thousands of years, they refined the art of killing, of destroying, of breaking their enemy's will. They wrote books about it. They turned warfare into philosophy. Sun Tzu, Clausewitz, Boyd, Zixthar continued. Human strategists whose names are now whispered in fear across the fleet. They don't just fight to win territory or resources. They fight to completely destroy their enemy's capacity and will to resist. They call it total war. Lissa set down her recorder. Is that why you retired? I retired because I realized that any species capable of surviving their own self-destructive nature for millennia, who turned their violent world into a crucible that forged them into perfect survivors, who look at death itself and smile. He paused, all four eyes meeting hers. That species cannot be conquered, only avoided. The Council disagrees. They're planning a larger offensive. Zixthar stood to leave, his age-worn armor plates creaking. Then they're fools. Humans have a saying. Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. We chose to forget the lesson of Ganymede. We'll learn it again, written in the bodies of millions. At the door he paused and looked back one final time. You want to know what truly haunts me? It's not the violence or the casualties. It's the certainty that if we push humanity hard enough, if we threaten their homeworld, we won't face soldiers or civilians. We'll face something that the galaxy has never seen before, an entire species united in absolute, uncompromising war. And when that happens, Commander, it won't be humans who are haunted by the memories. It will be the species who survived them. The door closed behind him with a hollow sound that echoed in the empty chamber, leaving only silence and the weight of terrible knowledge yet to be learned.